Hi, I'm Faisel Pervaiz, South Asia analyst here at Stratfor, and this morning our global team of analysts got together to do our weekly Friday ritual, which is discuss the key events in the week that was, and the key events we're watching in the week to come. Now, as I was thinking about this exercise perfectly captures the three perspectives that every Stratfor analyst takes to interpret the world. First, we study the past to gain depth of perspective. Second, we study the present to be keenly in tune with what is happening today. And finally, we look to the future to share with you what happens next. And so here are 4 events that are on our horizon for the week ahead. Let's start with the United States. So today, U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is embarking on a 5-nation visit that's going to stretch into next week. He's going to visit Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Switzerland, India, and Pakistan. Now, on the Saudi and Qatar portion of the visit, among the many issues he's going to talk about are going to include GCC tensions, Iran, and counterterrorism cooperation. In Switzerland, he's going to focus on humanitarian issues and discuss migration. But let's talk about India and Pakistan. After all, I'm a South Asia analyst, so obviously this part of the trip really interests me very much. And it's coming at a really interesting time. Just this week, Tillerson gave a key policy speech on US-India relations in which he highlighted how critical India is for the United States in helping balance against the rise of China. That's the theme that Tillerson's going to stress once again when he's in New Delhi. Now, Pakistan's a bit of a different story. US-Pakistan relations have really undergone tensions since President Trump gave his August 21st speech on South Asia. But the problem, though, is that Pakistan's cooperation for the US in prosecuting the war in Afghanistan is also essential. So Tillerson's going to try to really build on the momentum of that bilateral relationship to try to get more cooperation going forward. Now let's move to Japan, Asia's second largest economy. On Sunday, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's ruling Liberal Democratic Party is going to face a key task as the country enters snap elections. Now, Abe's goal is to try to retain his supermajority in the lower house, without which he would have to court votes from the opposition, which would make it more challenging for him to try to push forward key reforms, including revising Japan's constitution. Additionally, the party's performance in the election can also affect Abe's prospects as he vies for party leadership next year. Let's now move to Brazil, the largest country in the southern hemisphere. A key event we're tracking this week in Brazilian politics is on October 25th, the Brazilian Congress is going to vote on whether or not the Supreme Court can try President Michel Temer on corruption charges. Now, if Temer fails to secure the 1/3 of the vote in the lower house that he needs to survive, then he'll have to resign, and this is going to trigger a 180-day interim presidency leading up to next year's elections. Finally, let's move on to Kenya. This week, we're going to be tracking the presidential elections in that country, but these are taking place for the second time. This is because in the recent elections, the Supreme Court annulled the outcome due to voting irregularities. Now, Kenya, after all, is East Africa's diplomatic, economic, political, and security hub. So we're going to be tracking to see whether this time's elections can avoid the widespread violence that occurred in 2008 and 2009 that led to over 1,000 deaths. So these are just a few of the many developments we'll be tracking over the next week all across the globe. So if you want more in-depth, insightful analysis that cuts through the noise and gets to what's significant, then allow us to place your world in context by visiting us at worldview.stratfor.com. See you next week.